world, welcome. My name is Luann Pygott. You are in my home in Southwest Florida. It is Sunday evening. It is time for my ministry live. So I'm going to tell you a story today. Then I'm going to read you a few Bible verses and sing a song for you. This is a song I don't think I've ever sung since I've been doing these ministry lives. I haven't sung this song or thought of this song in years and years. I was trying to think, what can I sing today? And God said, open that book. And I'm like, there aren't a lot of songs in this book I usually sing, but I flipped this open. I'm like, oh, there it is. There it is. There's the song. So I am naming this today the Escalator Spotter. You're going to have no idea what that means, but I'm going to tell you. You'll know by the end. And I kind of put a parenthesis after that. It says you're helping more than you know. So my live today is really about helping others. I'm still kind of talking about the Toxic Abuse Anonymous app that I have joined, where we're helping people that have been through toxic relationships and also learning a whole lot of things ourselves. And Godiva is here to help me. She's my little piano spotter today. A spotter, in case you want to know, what is a spotter? A spotter is somebody in say gymnastics that you are on. You see them sometimes on the Olympics, that you're doing, say, the uneven bars or the high swing on the top of the bar, and they stand there. You'll see them. They step up in case you fall. They're there to break your fall. They're there to break your fall. They're there to help you do what you're trying to do. And I really kind of feel like this is what we're doing on this app that I joined. And you can join too if you'd like. But if you've been through some sort of painful, toxic relationship, whether it's from your parents, from a spouse, boyfriend, girlfriend, whatever in your life, that was a painful relationship for you. And it's just started. It's only a couple weeks old and it's growing. And we're getting all kinds of different speakers and stuff in there. And all kinds of good things, and I'm a part of it too, and it's just amazing. But I really feel like God led me to this to have me help people, and He brought back to my memory to me, and my parenthetical thing, you're helping more than you know. Because often when we help people, we don't think we're doing that much, and we think, I'm not hardly doing anything. I have had people come back and tell me that I have helped them with stuff that I feel like I hardly did anything. I'm like, what did I do? But they were like, oh, you just helped me more than you can possibly know you helped me. And I'm like, yeah, you're right, because I didn't know I did anything. But sometimes just the fact that we're there, or you can say one sentence that can change somebody's life and you don't even know that that was it. And I'm going to tell you a story about a friend of mine. And this would have been way back when this would have been in the 1980s, when I was working at my town city hall, and I had a real good friend there. And she had a phobia, and she had had it her whole life. And she decided one day in her 30s, and she and I would go to lunch every day. When we went to lunch together, we had a whole hour to go to lunch together from work. She worked there as well. And so we would go out, and she was afraid of something. And she decided one day she wanted to conquer the fear, because it was really, she's like, it's ridiculous that I'm this old, I'm still afraid of this. So what she was afraid of, well, let me read this first. I'm going to tell you that story. It says, we were never meant to do life alone. I found this online. We were never meant to do life alone. That's why I feel like surely God has somebody for me somewhere. We need the love and care of others as much as we are needed by others in the same ways. God didn't create us to be alone. If you happen to find yourself alone, God is there for you and He can comfort you. But I don't think He really didn't create humans to be alone. That's when He created Adam before He made Eve. He said, this is not good that he's alone. He needs a helpmate. And so He created Eve so Adam wouldn't be alone. And then He gave them a family. So none of them were alone. So I'm going to tell you this story today about my friend and her phobia, and how you can help other people with just the smallest thing that you might not even know you are helping, but it can make an amazing difference in people's lives. So my cat is rubbing her face on the songbook. She's scratching. Godiva, you're being a little pest, girl. She has decided, since I'm doing lives, that she needs to be here and do them too. So here she is. She's sitting. Right, Godiva? You want to say hello, Godiva? Want to say hello? Say hello. Here she is, little Miss Troublemaker. That's Godiva. She has a sister over there named Gwenny. Gwenny never bothers me. Godiva likes to be in the midst of everything. But, so my friend had an extreme phobia. And remember, this is when I worked at City Hall in the 1980s. She had an extreme phobia of escalators. And the reason that she did was because when she was about 3 years old, she had an abusive father, which her mother left sometime after this, but he was there in the beginning, that she was scared to get on the escalator when she was a little girl. And her father, instead of helping her and teaching her and gently getting her to overcome this fear, because she was only 3, instead of helping her, he had no patience for her fear, and he took her by the arm and just drug her onto the escalators. And it petrified her so bad that she developed an extreme phobia of escalators and never wanted to get on escalators. So when she and I would go from City Hall and go eat lunch somewhere, or sometimes we'd go to the mall. Sometimes we'd go to the mall at lunch because it was only 10 minutes away, so we could go to the mall. She would never get on the escalators. There was an escalator in Penny's. There was an escalator in what was called Moss Brothers. It's now Macy's, I think. But we always had to go to the elevator. She knew where the elevators were in all the buildings. When they built the Justice Center downtown, had escalators. She was scared of it. She could do stairs or the elevator, but she was petrified of escalators. And one day she said to me, I want to overcome this fear. I'm tired of being afraid of escalators. And she said what would happen is that she would get to the top of the escalator, and it threw her back to that trauma when she was 3 years old, of when her father drug her onto the escalator. And she said, I thought I was going to crush me, because you know how the steps, they move, and she said, I thought those steps were going to crush me. It looked like a big monster, you know, and she was just petrified. And she said, I never could get over this fear. And she asked me one day, would you help me overcome this phobia that I have? I want to overcome it. Well, the thing was, she was the one overcoming it. And I said, of course I will help you. I thought, what can I didn't know I could do anything to help. The thing is, I really don't think what I did was hardly anything. I was basically there, and I was moral support for her. But she said, I couldn't have done this without you. I couldn't have done it. And I look back at that and I think that made a difference to her life, because she overcame a fear. But I felt like I did almost nothing. And there are things in our lives that we feel like we're so insignificant, but I really didn't do anything at all. I hardly did anything at all. But the person that received what you did could have changed their lives. You don't know what you've done for them. I have had people tell me that before, when they have said, you have changed my life. And I look at them and think, what did I even do? I don't even know what I did, but I did something. The thing is, God used something that I did that I didn't even know. And if you just allow him to use you wherever you are, you might think you're doing nothing, but you don't know that. God will use what you did to maybe change the whole trajectory of somebody's life. And she said, I want to overcome this fear. And so we were at City Hall, and it was only a block from the Justice Center. And she said, I want to go to that escalator, because it was a narrow one. So she didn't feel, there wasn't that much space. She felt like she was more closed in, because she said, I have a fear that I'm going to get caught in the steps or fall. And she had been working on this fear and said, I've gotten to the place, like if I go to the mall, I can get on the escalator and go up. But I can't start at the top and go down. Because she said, I can stand up there. And she said, I start panicking. I get this panic, in a panic mode. And she said, I start sweating and I start getting dizzy. And she said, I feel like I'm going to fall because I'm up high. And she said, I just can't overcome it. And she said, would you just come help me? So we went over there. We got to the escalator to go up, and it wasn't busy at that time because it was lunchtime. Everybody there was eating lunch, and so there weren't really people using the escalator, and it just goes all the time. So she said, I know I can go up. Let me go up, and you just follow me. So she got on the escalator. We went up, and it only goes up one floor. And so we got to the second floor, and she said, now, this is where it's hard for me. Would you just stand in front of me, and I'm going to tell you when I'm ready? Because she said, if you are in front of me, I am going to look at you, and I am not going to look down to the floor. I'm not going to look down the escalator. I'm just going to look at you, and I am going to watch you step onto the escalator. Because see, I didn't have a fear of escalators. I have fears of things. I have fears of heights, and I have fears of roller coasters, but I was never afraid of the escalator. So I was a perfect person to help her, because I had the strength to just do what she needed. And it was whatever she needed, and I wasn't going to force her. If she got over there and said, I can't do it, I can't do it today, we would have just left. So she didn't feel at all pressured. And she said, stand in front of me, because then I can look at you. And I'm not going to look at the step. Well, you have to look at the step to get on it, though. But she's not looking at all the steps. She said, I can just look at the one step, and I'm not going to look all the way down to the first floor. And she said, just stand there in front of me. And so I stood in front of her, not on the step, but on the landing right before the step. And she said, I'm going to prepare myself. And when I tell you, this is how petrified she was. When I tell you to go, just step onto the escalator, and I'm going to step on the step right behind you. And she said, if for some reason I don't do it, just go down and come back up and I'm going to try again. And I said, okay, you just tell me what to do. So I stood there, and she was going, and she had her eyes closed, and she was deep breathing because she was shaking. She was so scared because this is a traumatic thing that happened to her when she was 3. And when you go through something like that, every time you try to redo what happened to you, you get trapped back into your 3-year-old self. So you're not dealing with the trauma of like a 30-something-year-old woman that she was. She was dealing with the trauma she felt as a 3-year-old. And you just can't, you get locked into it. It's actually something I'm learning is called a trauma bond. You get bound to that trauma. And she said, I am going to overcome this. And so, of course, she had been praying about it as well because she was a really good Christian. So I stood there while she deep breathed, and she had her eyes closed. And when she was ready, she said, now go. And I took a step on the escalator. What I didn't know is she was watching my feet. And as I stepped, she stepped her foot, almost like people who dance that move their feet together. When I moved my foot, she moved her foot right behind me, and she stepped onto the step. She actually did it. She stepped onto the step behind me. She had her hands gripping the rails because she could reach both of them. She was gripping the rails of that escalator like her life depended on it, and she was like breathing heavy, but she was leaning forward, but she did it. She got down to the bottom. And I'm like, that was amazing. You did so well. You did it. I'm so ecstatic for you. And she goes, okay, now I need to do it again. Can we do it again? She said, now this time I'm not going to step on the step behind you. I'm going to step 2 steps behind you. So we did it again. We got up there. She breathed. She relaxed herself. She closed her eyes. She said, she prayed, I can do this. And she said, now go. I stepped again, and she waited a second until the next step came, and she got on the step 2 steps behind me. And then we went down, and then she said, I need to do it again. So we went back up again. She goes, now this time I'm going to be 3 steps behind you. And so we did it again. She told me when to go. And I'm thinking to myself, you know, I know I'm here helping her, but I'm really not doing anything but riding an escalator. I'm not really helping her. She just thinks I'm helping her. I'm not holding her hand. I'm not gripping her. I wasn't even touching her. I wasn't doing anything, but she's like, you cannot believe how much this is helping me because I see you. I don't see the drop down. I see that you step in front of me and you are safe. The steps aren't chewing you up. I see that you step and you're safe. I see you do it. So therefore I say to myself, she did it, so I can do it. She said, that's what I'm doing. She did it and she's safe. Now I'm going to do it and she's safe. So she said, we're going to do it after the 3rd time. She said, I got to do it again. So we walked back up again. She said, all right, this time, I don't want you to go first. I'm going to go first. Because see, every time that we did it, she was telling me to go quicker than she was telling me before. Every time she was saying, go ahead and go, she was doing it quicker and quicker. And so this time she said, now this time I have to step onto it first. But she said, I want you to step on the step right behind me, because that way she knew. Now, I don't really know that I had the physical power to have held her if she actually fell. See, in her mind, she knew she wouldn't fall, but she felt like she was going to fall. So she needed a spotter. She knew she wasn't literally going to fall, but she needed a security. And I was her security, that I am right here and I'm not going to let you fall. And so that gave her the courage to say, I'm not going to fall. And so she got up there again, and I'm fixing my light here. My light's not holding a charge. She got up, and she was in the front this time. And she said, just watch my feet. And when I step, you just step right behind me. So that's what I was doing. And she stood there, and she stood there longer again this time. And she took deep breaths. She closed her eyes. She was praying. And she said, all right, I'm going to do this now. And she took the step. I think for the first time in her adult life, she took a step onto an escalator, and I went right behind her, and she rode it down. And the sense of victory and accomplishment that she had. And we got to the bottom and she said, let's do it again. And we rode, seriously, we were riding up and down the escalator, up and down the escalator, up and down the escalator for our lunch hour. And she afterward, now she still would hesitate. I think probably for a long time she would get to an escalator and have to hesitate and relax herself and tell herself, I can do this, I'm going to do this, I know I can do it. She would still do that, but she could do it now. And she told me when we were done, we would still, for days after that, she would say, before we eat lunch, and they had a lunchroom in that Justice Center, so sometimes we just go over there and eat. And she would say, let's go to the Justice Center today so I can ride the escalator again. So we did that for several weeks. And she would go, we would just go, because it's only a block away. We go up the escalator, down the escalator, and then we go eat somewhere. And so every time now, though, she went first. And I would be behind her because she was trying to secure the confidence that she now had. She didn't want to just do it one day and then you lose it, because it needed to be a habit and it needed to build her confidence that I can do this, God's helping me, strengthening me. And she told me afterward, I could not have done it without you there. And I looked at it and thought, I did nothing. I never touched her. I didn't hold her hand. I didn't help her physically. But I was telling her, you can do this. You can do this. And if you don't make it the first time, it's okay. I'll ride the escalator down. I'll come back up and we'll go again. But she was doing it and she did it. And she said, you just can't believe what a difference that made to me. And I think this is what we do so much in life. We can make such a difference in somebody's life that we don't even know we're making. And we think, but I didn't do anything. What we think is not doing anything is something. Because you don't know what little tiny thing that seems like nothing to you will alter somebody's life, because that was the one little thing that they needed to hear or needed to do. So I'm going to read some Bible verses today about helping others and how God can use us to help, and God can use us to be a light and to shine into others' lives. Listen to this. This is an amazing few verses here. This is Isaiah 1:17 and 58:10. I put them together. Learn to do right, seek justice, defend the oppressed, take up the cause of the fatherless, plead the case of the widow. I think that also includes women who've been abandoned by their husbands. If you do away with the yoke of oppression, with the pointing finger and malicious talk, and if you spend yourselves on behalf of the hungry and satisfy the needs of the oppressed, listen, what'll happen if you do that? Then your light will rise in the darkness. Oh my gosh. I want my light, because see, my light's not me. My light is God. My light is Jesus. The light in me is not me. The light in me is Him. So if you have Him as your light, if you do all these things to help the oppressed and meet their needs and satisfy the hungry, then your light will rise in the darkness. And I want that light to rise in the darkness, because we have so much darkness that has been allowed to rule in the earth we live in now, because we have removed the light from so many places and we have not followed the light. We have not learned about the light. We have just ignored the light, or we have banned the light. But if you will do what this says, your light will rise in the darkness and your night will become like the noonday. I think that can also mean if you're going through darkness yourself right now, if you're in pain, if you've been through a traumatic experience or been with a toxic person, your night, when you are helping others, it will raise a light in the darkness for them, and your darkness will shine like the noonday. The darkness you've been living in, that light's going to affect you too. Galatians 5:13 and 6 and 2 says, you, my brothers and sisters, were called to be free, but do not use your freedom to indulge in the flesh. Rather, serve one another humbly in love. Carry each other's burdens, and in this way you will fulfill the law of Christ. Proverbs 3:27, 11:25, and 19:17. All three of these verses are here together. Do not withhold good from those to whom it is due when it is in your power to act. A generous person will prosper. Whoever refreshes others will be refreshed. The saying, when you are helping others, it's going to come back to you. Whoever is kind to the poor lends to the Lord. You're doing it for Him. and he will reward them for what they have done. John 15:12 and 13 says, my command is this, love each other as I have loved you. Greater love has no one than this, to lay down one's life for one's friends. There is no greater love than to give your life. And that doesn't necessarily mean to die, although it did mean to die in Jesus' day. That's what he did for us. But you don't have to die to lay down your life. You can lay down your life while you're living it for others, because that's the greatest love there is. Romans 12 and 13 says, share with the Lord's people who are in need. Practice hospitality. I love hospitality. Matthew 5:16 and 10 and 8 says, in the same way, let your light shine before others, that they may see your good deeds and glorify your Father in heaven. Heal the sick, raise the dead, cleanse those who have leprosy, drive out demons. Freely you have received, freely give. I think that's on that app. That's why I'm there. I'm wanting to do some of this. I'm wanting to have my light shine in the light of God shine in my life and shine in everybody's life around me. James 2:14 and 17 says, what good is it, my brothers and sisters, if someone claims to have faith but has no deeds? Can such faith save them? Suppose a brother or a sister is without clothes and daily food. If one of you says to them, go in peace, keep warm and well fed, but does nothing about their physical needs, what good is it? In the same way, faith by itself is not accomplished if it is not accomplished by action, is dead. Faith without action is dead. You can pray for people. You can tell them, oh, go in peace and have plenty to eat. But if you have food, now if you don't have anything, you don't. But if you have something and they need it, you need to give what you have. And I feel this is what God is calling me to do right now in this form, and in the way I've continued to do it here as well. So I think this light's a goner. Thank goodness I have another. Thank goodness I have another light. So I'm going to sing this song. Like I said, God kind of led me to this song. Said, open that book. I opened that book, turned a couple pages, and I'm like, oh, this one? Oh, this song? I haven't sung this song or heard this song in years and years and years. It was written in 1977. It's called What a Difference You've Made in My Life. And we can this is really talking about what a difference Christ made in our life. But we are Christ now that he's not here. We are Christ to show Christ to others. And we can make a difference in other people's lives. And they can make a difference in our lives. And that's why we're still here, to make a difference in somebody's life. And I hope and pray I can make a difference in your life. And if you want to come join that app, if you have had some sort of toxic relationship, come join it. And you can have a difference made in your life there as well. What a difference you've made in my life. What a difference you've made in my life. You're my sunshine day and night. Oh, what a difference you've made in my life. What a change you have made in my heart. What a change you have made in my heart. You replaced all the broken parts. Oh, what a change you have made in my heart. Love to me was just a word in a song that had been way overused. But now I joined in the singing, 'cause you've shown me love's true meaning. That's why I want to spread the news. What a difference you've made in my life. What a difference you've made in my life. You're my sunshine day and night. Oh, what a difference you've made in my life. What a change you have made in my heart. What a change you have made in my heart. You've replaced all the broken parts. Oh, what a change you have made in my heart. Love to me was just a word in a song that had been says, for we are God's handiwork, created in Christ Jesus to do good works, which God prepared in advance for us to do. And this thing that I'm joining now, I really feel like this Toxic Abuse Anonymous app, I think it's something God's prepared for me to do. At least for now. I don't know how long it'll last, maybe forever. But however long, this is something God has prepared for me to do. I never in my wildest dreams imagined. These Facebook Lives that I do, that's something God prepared for me to do. I had never thought of before when I started doing this. Just God's doing all kind of stuff. He's got it prepared in advance, and He's preparing me to do it. Because when I first joined this app, I'm like, Lord, are you sure? I've never done anything like this. Are you sure I'm ready for this? He's like, I've been getting you ready. All these years, I've been getting you ready. You're ready. You're ready because I'm ready. I'm ready, and I'm really going to do it. You're just going to be there and bring me. And I'm like, all right, God, you know what you're doing. Here we go. Ready, set, jump. Hebrews 6:10 and 13 and 16. Finally, I'm going to leave with you. It says, God is not unjust. He will not forget your work and the love you have shown Him as you have helped His people and continue to help them. That's what I want to do. I want to help His people and continue to help them. And do not forget to do good and to share with others. For with such sacrifices, God is pleased. I want God to be pleased with what I'm doing. And I want everyone, but everyone, to find God and to find Jesus and be saved. I want everyone's life to be changed. If you're listening, I want your life to be changed. I can't change it, but God can. The things that you can do to help yourself, He can help you to do it. And He is the one that can change your life. Until next week, be very blessed. Good night.